Get cool stuff for what you were going to do anyway. Drink beer. With Buy Beer, Get Gear from Labatt, you can just snap a photo of your receipt and upload it to the website to rack up points for exclusive merch. Get points for every purchase, whether you're grabbing a pint on draft, a case for a party, or a tall boy at the stadium. Any size, any product, anywhere you buy Labatt. Buy beer, get gear. Sign up now at rewards.labattusa.com.
We welcome you on to Drive Time. We are live from the JMA Wireless Dome as we're about a couple hours away from Orange women's basketball tonight. They're taking on Binghamton, looking to stay undefeated at home on the season, and I will be on the call for that one coming up 6:45 pregame, 7 p.m. The opening tip tonight as Syracuse looks to improve to 10-1 on the hardwood on the women's side, and we're still trying to react to what the Orange men's basketball team did on Saturday as they try to recover. They will be back in action tomorrow inside the JMA Wireless Dome to take on Mercyhurst. There will be 3 games here this week inside the Dome. Tuesday night tonight, the women taking on Binghamton, 7 p.m. tip. Mercyhurst for the men tomorrow evening is a 7 p.m. tip as well. And then Friday will be a morning game, the school day game, the annual game for the Orange women's basketball team. They will also play Mercyhurst this week. So Wednesday, the men play Mercyhurst. Friday, the women play Mercyhurst. And the school day tip will begin at 10:30 a.m. For our radio listeners to our talk shows. That means no Orange Nation, unfortunately, on Friday, but you can enjoy the broadcast of School Day, and you can enjoy the broadcast of the game this evening as the Orange look to get to 10-1 on the season. So we'll talk some about the women's basketball team over the next hour with you. We are live in the Q Sports Talk chat as well. Q Sports Talk on the YouTube page. All of that still going as we are off site here, remote, live from the JMA Wireless Dome. Still taking your phone calls at 315-437-7644. That is 4ESPN44. If you have thoughts on Orange basketball after the tough loss on Saturday for the men to Hofstra, if you want to talk Syracuse football after the schedule was just officially announced, we already knew 8 of the opponents for the ACC football schedule next year for Syracuse. Remember, they made the announcement midway through this year that the conference joining with the SEC and following that lead was going to add one more conference game and go to what they are calling a 9+1 schedule model. 9 conference games, 1 power conference, non-conference opponent every single year, and Notre Dame does qualify for that. That will be the one for Syracuse next season. So the only real new news to the schedule that we just found out about that was just dropped officially for all of the ACC teams after they have adjusted the schedule once again. The new news for football next year is they will be going to NC State for a road game. So Syracuse will have 5 road games in league play. It was 4-4. They add one more road game. They will be going to NC State. They will also have 4 home games in conference play, plus the Notre Dame home game. And for anyone worried about that Notre Dame home game, you should not be. That game is definitely happening. It's definitely a part of the season ticket package and the home games that will be inside the JMA Wireless Dome next year. There was some chatter and reporting from Notre Dame's blogs that they were looking to change their schedule and maybe Syracuse would not be on their schedule next year. We have confirmed, we've chatted with John Wildtack about that Notre Dame is definitely coming to the Dome next season. The full football schedule we can get into, and we can also talk about what game might be coming off the schedule by now adding one more game in conference play. Again, that new ACC road game is at NC State, a place that the Orange will go to for the second time under Fran Brown. They did get a nice road win in year 1 of Fran Brown. Kyle McCord had a very nice game at NC State as part of their very successful year 1, and they'll be looking to bounce back, of course, in year 3 under Fran Brown with a much more palatable schedule than what they had this year. So we'll dive into that over the course of our hour with you on QSportsTalk.com and ESPN Radio. We begin today with our Burdick BMW of Cicero opening drive. That's how we begin every drive time here. And let's talk more about Syracuse basketball and specifically what they need to improve on the men's basketball team to get back into the NCAA tournament conversation. We're going to do our top 5 Tuesday, where we rank the 5 biggest keys right now for Syracuse men's basketball to get back into that NCAA tournament conversation. And I know a lot of you don't want to hear all the research I was doing on how a quad 3 loss can be recoverable, and there have been plenty of teams. There were 9 teams in the NCAA tournament field last year that suffered at least one quad 3 loss and still made it as an at-large selection. There were 19 teams in 2024, several that had multiple quad 3 losses. 7 of the 19 that did have a quad 3 loss and made it in 2024 had multiple quad 3 losses, or perhaps a quad 3 and a quad 4 loss. So it is possible for Syracuse to recover. And I understand that that loss was very damaging for the Orange, but it was a loss in December and early-ish December. And the ACC being good does give Syracuse a better chance. When you go back and you think about the Orange bubble teams of the past, we have counted out a lot of Syracuse teams in December, in January, and February, and then they have been there in March. And unfortunately, the Orange have not been involved in the bubble conversation in a handful of years now. And in a way, the reason why that they were not there and in the bubble conversation is because the ACC has been down. And the reason why they were able to take on a loss early on in the season and recover from it is because the ACC was taking 7 or 8 teams into the tournament field, sometimes even more than that. And they had several opportunities in ACC play to pick up what is viewed as quad 1 wins or quad 2 wins. They're going to have their opportunities. That is Coach Autry's message, I'm sure, to his team right now. It feels like to a lot of the fan base, the sky is falling. And we'll be honest, I mean, Syracuse's chances of making the tournament are definitely below what we would want them to be right now if you're a follower of the program. There's no getting around that. You look at Bart Torvik right now, and they consistently update throughout the season on their website, what are the chances of your team getting an at-large selection? The Orange are less than 10% right now of getting an at-large bid. I believe it's about 9%, according to Bart Torvik currently. There's always a chance that you also win the ACC tournament to get into the NCAA tournament field, but we're not at that point yet. So let's go over the 5 biggest keys for Syracuse men's basketball to get back into that NCAA tournament conversation, to improve on their net ranking, which sits in the low 90s right now, and they've got to at least get into the 50s, I would say, to be viewed as a bubble team. Number 1 key is as simple as it gets, and it is the thing that we've been talking about too much to this point in the season, and the thing that we will continue to talk about unless it changes, and that is free throw shooting. When you really dive into the numbers, and I was just chatting about this with Adrian Autry about how their perception right now around Syracuse basketball is the offense is struggling and the offense is inefficient and they're getting bad shots. And I hear that a little bit. I think we all watched the offense against Hofstra's zone, and we were disappointed that Syracuse didn't get better looks or didn't execute better against a zone defense down the stretch of that game. Syracuse has struggled to shoot from the outside, and you could get into nitpicking the offense, and there are definitely things that the offense can improve on. But at the end of the day, Syracuse is leaving tons of points on the table because of free throw shooting. How they're shooting from 2-point range is pretty solid. How they're shooting from 3-point range is not great, but not terrible. It's not like it was last season at times. They have more shooters. We're seeing Nate King start to make shots from 3-point range. We're seeing J.J. Starling shoot better from 3-point range. But it's the free throw shooting that is really holding them back from getting to 75, 80 points each and every game. And even against some of the better defenses in the country, they have played 4 programs already that are right up there nationally, year in and year out, in defensive efficiency. Houston being one of those where Syracuse made the winning plays down the stretch, except for that last possession, and did some nice things offensively. So I don't think the offense is broken. I think if they were shooting adequate from the free throw line, we would not be talking this negatively about the offense. And they have to improve from the free throw line. They understand that, and I think they will improve some. It's natural. They're not going to finish the year dead last in the country with a 57% free throw percentage right now. Can they get to 65%, 68, 69%? What can they improve to, I think, will be very important in having a say-so, and will they make the NCAA tournament, or will they just be in the NCAA tournament conversation? Because Syracuse is going to play a lot of close games in ACC play. And yes, we're talking about how there's a runway there, and that stretch at the start of ACC play, they're projected to win 8 of the first 9, and it all looks good on paper. A lot of those games are projected to be very close games. Clemson to start the season is projected to be a very close game in ACC play. Georgia Tech projected to be a 3-point win. Pittsburgh projected to be a 1-point win on the road. BC is projected to be a 3-point game on the road on January 17th. Virginia Tech, 2-point game. Miami, 2-point game. You got to make your free throws down the stretch. They're going to be involved in a lot of close games. And in order for them to make it back into the NCAA tournament conversation, they have to be a team that has a winning record in close games, that is known for getting it done in crunch time. Right now, it feels like that's going to be challenging given the free throw shooting, but I would imagine the free throw shooting will improve at least some and hopefully a great deal as the season progresses. Number 2 on our Top 5 Tuesday, counting down the 5 biggest keys for Syracuse men's basketball to get back into the NCAA tournament conversation. Basically, the 5 biggest keys for the rest of the season for Syracuse men's basketball. I would say Nathan George improving as a scorer. And this is where maybe the coaching staff would say Nathan George is kind of doing what he is supposed to be doing at this point. He is a distributor. They brought him in here to be a facilitator, to be right up there nationally in assist rate like he was last year. And he's averaging about 5 assists per game. And I think Nathan George as a passer has not been disappointing, but Nathan George has had some costly turnovers. Nathan George has also not been much of a scorer. And I do think that him getting into the neighborhood of 10, 11 points per game would just open things up a great deal for this offense. Right now, he's averaging about 8 points per game. He's averaging 5.5 points per game in his last 6. I understand that he's not going to lead this team in scoring. I understand that he's not going to be asked to be the scorer that he was at Georgia Tech, where he had one game last year as a triple overtime game, but he scored 28 points in a game. He had a couple games where he was flirting with a triple-double, and one game that he did get a triple-double last year. He's not going to put up numbers like that because Syracuse is a better overall team this year, and they have good scorers around him, and they want Nathan George to be a table setter. But I do think Nathan George averaging double figures in points is something that we were all expecting going into the season, and something that would behoove this team, would benefit this team if he is looking for his shot more, if he's getting to the free throw line more. We talk about free throw shooting. Nathan George has not been to the free throw line enough. He has not been aggressive enough in my eyes as a scorer, and I think that would set things up for the offense better if he is a little bit more aggressive offensively. Third key for Syracuse basketball for the rest of the season. Let's see if the freshmen can take a step up. By that I mean Kyan Anthony, Sadiq White. We've seen flashes. We've seen some really exciting things from 2 top 40 recruits. They're very talented players, and I think with Sadiq White, maybe even underrated just because of what he gives you defensively, and he's a good rebounder, and he played really well against Tennessee, and when Sadiq White plays well, this team tends to play well. We've seen Kyan Anthony struggle a little bit at times, but also, I would say, for the most part, be about what we were expecting, maybe a little bit better than we were expecting going back to our expectations in the preseason. And I have said throughout the season, I think Kyan Anthony is capable of winning you a game in conference play. I think he is that level of scorer when he's on. Could we see Kyan Anthony be in a position as the schedule ratchets up, as he gets deeper into his freshman season, that he gets better, he improves, he's improving at the free throw line. We hope that he is one of those guys, certainly, that is improving at the free throw line. There's no reason he shouldn't be because his mechanics are good at the free throw line. Could he be someone that could go score 20 points on a hot night in ACC play? I think he could be. And if you get more from your freshmen, if we see them develop, then you're starting to see that this team, which we know is already talented, could be even more talented and could have the capability of knocking off some of the top dogs in the ACC. They did not have that capability last year based on the talent they had on their roster. They have more scorers, they have more weapons, more options this year, and the excuses don't apply where you don't know exactly what you're getting night in and night out, and it feels like they're one-dimensional. This is a team that is capable. They have the talent. Can you develop those freshmen, Sadiq White, Kyan Anthony, to the point where they're viewed as two of the top freshmen, maybe not in the conference, but as a duo, one of the better freshman duos in the league, and guys that can be counted on to play crunch time minutes. And if you need them to, if someone's down, if an injury arises, they can step up and not just score in double figures, because it's more than that with Sadiq White, but just be major contributors down the stretch. I think we kind of know what J.J. Starling is. William Kyle's been great. I talked about Nathan George needs to improve specifically as a scorer. I think that would be good to see. Nate Kings has really been playing solid, and now that he's starting to make shots, I think it's only going to go up for him in terms of his ability and what we think of him. But maybe the freshmen are the two players, Kyan and Sadiq White specifically, that could make a leap. And you probably need them to take a step up to feel better about what you have in this roster. So we're off and running here on Drive Time. That was our Burdick BMW of Cicero opening drive. We've got the Orange women's basketball team in front of me warming up right now. They'll be taking on Binghamton at 7 p.m., and we will have pregame coverage for you at 6:45 on the radio side of things on ESPN Radio for that one. So we'll take a timeout here and step aside. We'll come back and talk about the Syracuse football schedule, some of the announcements that came out within the last hour, who is the new road ACC opponent, if you missed that, and I'll dive into what to make of the schedule. We've also got two more keys to get to on our Top 5 Tuesday for Syracuse basketball, keys for the rest of the season to get back into the NCAA tournament conversation. We're back with more on Drive Time on ESPN Radio and QSportsTalk.com.
We're going to me here? Hello, everyone. Is this right, Gio? How's everyone doing? What's everyone think about the schedule?
Oh, I'm back on the chat. There we go. Sorry, Paul. You're kicked off. Let me see. What am I looking at on the chat? Why would you think Donnie is not going to be participating in ACC play? Donnie is without a boot. I just came from practice Covendo, and I thought it was kind of encouraging to see him moving around and doing stuff. He's not going to be playing tomorrow, I wouldn't expect, but he'll be back soon. No need to fret. Well, the only thing with that Philly's most wanted about Nathan George, I mean, he came from a pick and roll oriented offense, like exclusively pick and roll really at Georgia Tech, and he put up points. So I think he's in a little bit of a funk, but I would hope that he can showcase a little bit more of getting downhill and getting to the basket. I don't think I've ever shied away from free throw shooting being a major issue, but I also think it's naive to say that, and I'm not saying you are saying that, but I don't think we can just say if they had made free throws, they would be ranked and they'd be 10-0 at this point. Free throw shooting is killing them, and I think, as I just said, the perception of the offense being bad is partially because of that. I think you're on to something there, Philly. I just don't think he is really, like, being aggressive enough and understanding that. And I mean, I just talked to Red about this, and he was kind of like, we just want Nate George to be a passer. first and foremost, and we've got scorers around him. And I think he said something like, if he can score 12, 15 points some nights we'll need that, but not every night. They do have scorers around him, but I would like to see him, if he is more of a threat to get downhill, I would just think the offense would flow better if he's averaging in double figures. Not as ugly as the sweater I was wearing last time we were live from the Dome. Yeah, Dom, 2 North Carolina games. I was pretty excited about that news as well. As someone who grew up right around NC State, always good to get a trip home. Sure, every team does have issues, but I think we're in agreement, Philly. The more I see you talking about this, I just think we can't come on and spend every waking second talking about free throws. I don't know if that's what you're requesting, but we've talked a lot about free throws, I would say. Yeah, but you can't punt on the idea of Nathan George being your point guard. JJ at the one has downsides, too. He's not as much of a passer. I think Nathan George has to be out there and playing well for this team to succeed. We continue live from the JMA Wireless Dome on Drive Time. We've got Binghamton getting warmed up in front of us now as the Orange women's basketball team is in action tonight. It's a 7 p.m. tip here from the Dome. We'll have pregame for you at 6:45. We'll visit with Coach Jack as always and count you down to the 7 p.m. tip. Tonight, the Orange looking to get to 10-1 on the season. They are doing very well in the net rankings. They are 39th, the women's team, on the NCAA Tournament evaluation tool rankings of every team in the country. They sit inside the top 40 at 39, currently 9-1 overall, 7-0 at home. The men, not so much. They are 92 in the net rankings, but a whole lot of season ahead for them, and I am not one of those people that is going to say the sky is falling and the season is over at this point. I think if you really dig into the research, there are plenty of teams that have taken a bad loss in December and they have recovered. There are plenty of teams at Syracuse in recent memory that have done just that. Their work is certainly cut out for them. They have a less than 10% chance right now on Bart Torvik to get an at-large bid, and I think that feels about right. I would probably elevate that to maybe like 20% if you were asking me personally, just because I do think it's a talented team. And I think when they get Donnie Freeman back, hopefully soon, I would not expect him back tomorrow, but certainly I feel like Donnie is trending to be back once they start ACC play against Clemson, and that will be on the 31st, and that'll be a very important game. Clemson playing tonight against South Carolina. They are right on the bubble of a quad one game. Currently, they're 30th in the net rankings. Syracuse certainly will have to jump a lot of teams in the net rankings on the ACC side of things if they want to get into the NCAA tournament conversation. At 92 right now in the net, that puts them 13th among ACC teams. So bad news and good news. The good news is they're going to play a lot of teams that are perceived better than them right now, and that gives you a lot of opportunity to erase that loss or do your best to mitigate that loss to Hofstra and elevate your resume. Certainly, the better the ACC is, the better it is for Syracuse. I think the one game we are pulling against the ACC, which is a rare case, is tonight because Tennessee is hosting Louisville, and what should be a very exciting game to watch from Knoxville. Tennessee is right outside of quad one territory for Syracuse. Top 30 at home is a quad one win. Tennessee at last look is 35 in the net rankings. So you should be rooting for Tennessee tonight, because then if they beat Louisville, that would probably get them back into quad one. Really, at the end of the season, we're just hoping Tennessee is viewed as a top 30 team, which My guess is they will be. We're also pulling for Hofstra, certainly. Because as much as we've talked about quad 3 losses, and you can suffer those, and you can recover from those, you can certainly recover from a quad 2 loss. And if Hofstra could finish up a top 70 team in the country, then it goes from a quadrant 3 loss to a quadrant 2, and that would be great news for Syracuse men's basketball and their resume right now. Phone lines remain open here on Drive Time, even though we are off location. If you'd like to call in, you can do so. Our phone number is 315-437-7644. Let's talk a little bit about the Orange football schedule. Then we'll get back to my 2 remaining keys in a Top 5 Tuesday here for Syracuse men's basketball the rest of the way. So about an hour ago, we found out that the Orange have added 1 new game in ACC play to their football schedule. It will be a road game, and it is a trip down south to take on NC State, as now they have 5 away games on their schedule in ACC play next year. NC State, an opponent they played on the road 2 seasons ago, first year under Fran Brown. They got a nice win. NC State, a program that typically hovers around 7-8 wins. They're coming off a couple down years in a row. Dave Doran will be back as their head coach down in Raleigh and will be starting, I believe, his 15th season. He is one of the longest tenured coaches in college football at the FBS level. So certainly NC State will be a good opportunity for them on the road next year. Let's actually go right to the phone lines right now, where we've got our guy Nick in Las Vegas, who always wants to talk Orange football. Nick, what's on your mind?
Thank God, no more basketball for a couple minutes. Holy moly.
Well, you don't mind the basketball. I think you're in agreement with us on the basketball, right? It's a December loss. Let's see if they can recover from here.
That's correct.
Yes, okay.
Today's December 16th. Good Lord, the sky's falling. What the heck? It's okay, guys. We're going to be okay. Good Lord.
Well, what is on your mind football-wise? I know that's your main objective here, as always.
Let's find a way to limit 2 losses on the road and 2 losses at home. Worst case scenario, and I think football's going to be in a good spot. And I think it's very doable with the schedule.
Yeah, do you like the idea of NC State being that additional game? I mean, that's really the only new news. We'll go through the full schedule.
I do.
Yeah. Yeah, it feels like
I do. I
tier.
think that's a winnable game. I think best case, if they can lose at Pitt and at NC and at North Carolina, that would be worst case scenario, right? But if they can win one of those games and have 1 road loss, I like it. And at home, Notre Dame and Clemson, if you can split one of those and only get 1 loss at home, even better, right?
Yeah, the home schedule.
My question for you is,
go ahead. Yep.
No, you go ahead. Go ahead.
I was just going to say the home schedule is pretty exciting from a fan perspective. I mean, you've got Cal, which will be coming to the Dome for the first time since 1967. That's kind of a weird one, but you've got some big games at home. Clemson, Louisville, SMU, and Notre Dame, all teams that have kind of been around or in the college football conversation in the last couple of years. Clemson and SMU, of course, going last season along with Notre Dame. They'll be coming to the Dome, and then Louisville as well is a good program. So I like how it shapes up. They're going to have an opportunity to probably win 1 or 2 ranked games at home, would be my initial guess, just looking at the home schedule.
That's what I was thinking, right? And if they can by some chance split Clemson and Notre Dame at home next year, obviously the odds of beating Clemson are better than Notre Dame. That's a great home, that's great for the home crowd. You know what I'm saying? But my question that I had, everything with E-Rob just suddenly died.
Yeah.
The news with Nebraska just kind of shut off. Are you hearing anything about that?
I think there's been some rumblings about Texas A&M and maybe a reunion there. I think he's certainly going somewhere else, and he's certainly got suitors, but obviously he's not coming back here. I don't see that happening based on them hiring an offensive line coach. So we'll see. I don't think it's shut off from a perspective of like he's dried up and he's out of options, but it has been a little weird how the timeline has shifted, and I thought we would have heard something by now, but I'm sure he'll find a job just based on how many schools seem to be interested in him.
And one last thing I wanted to bring up, and I think this is a really exciting thing. Javion Hilson announced he's going into the portal from Missouri. He chose Missouri over Syracuse in his class of 25 because of a huge bag last minute from Missouri. He's in the portal. He's got a great relationship with Fran. He's a 6'4", 260-pound edge rusher. I would think that they're going to make a huge push for him in the portal, and I think that might be one we get.
That would be a good one, just looking him up right now. And I remember this name in the recruiting space going back to, he's a Florida guy, right? I think I remember him being.
Yep, he's from Cocoa, Florida. Yep.
Yeah.
And Tommy Caprelli's got a great relationship with him as well.
Okay.
And we were down. It was us in Missouri at the end, and he chose Missouri because of the last-minute NIL push.
All right, Javion Hilson. So that's someone that we can keep an eye on for Orange football going forward. We always appreciate Nick in Las Vegas joining us on the program here. To lay out the full football schedule for you guys, and we were talking a lot about it there with Nick, you've got the home games, which I mentioned, of Clemson, Louisville, SMU, and Cal in ACC action. Those are your 4 ACC home games, plus Notre Dame is going to be a home game next year. We have also heard from John Wildtech that we should expect Clemson or Louisville, probably one of those two, to be a Friday night game inside the Dome. We have spoken a lot about that with Director of Athletics John Wildtech, that that's a priority. They want to have some Friday night games because of the viewership dollars that come in through TV and how much you are viewed on the TV side of things. If you could get a standalone game on Friday night, you can draw a much better rating. The Orange have done well in terms of drawing crowds on Friday night and getting a fair amount of people to the Dome. They've obviously had a major upset over Clemson at one point on a Friday night. I would not be surprised if it's Clemson, maybe Louisville, maybe even both of those games could be Friday night, but I think definitely one of those two will be a Friday night game next year, and I'm all aboard that. I think Friday night games are good for the program, and it's good for Syracuse to bring in as much revenue dollars as possible through the new ACC agreement, that you do get some viewership dollars and some revenue brought into your school based on how much you are drawing viewership on the TV side of things. The away games, it's an interesting away schedule. There's no one here that jumps out at you at being maybe a conference contender. I suppose Virginia I should be a little bit more respectful of because they were in the ACC championship game this year. I viewed that as more of Virginia drawing the right schedule, and so much of this is schedule now. So let's run down the away schedule, and this will give you an idea that Syracuse really can get a fair amount of wins on the road, you would hope, next year. NC State is that new away game. We'll see how they are. They're usually pretty solid. That's usually a sneaky, tough place to win a game. Syracuse did win there 2 years ago. I think that's fine that is the new game added. It's kind of a middle-of-the-road away game in ACC play right now would be my best projection. But I do think NC State will be better next year, and I'm sure that they will trend more towards what they normally are, which is like an 8 and sometimes 9-win football team. Boston College and Pittsburgh on the road. They're going to play BC and Pittsburgh every year still, even with the schedule changing to 9 games and throwing away divisions. BC and Pitt are either going to be at the Dome or on the road every year, and both of those are on the road. Remember, Syracuse has not won at Pittsburgh in forever. You got to go back to 2001. BC did not go well on the road last time. They'll be looking for some revenge against the Eagles the last couple years with Bill O'Brien coming back for them. UNC, it seems like Syracuse keeps drawing UNC, so they're going to make 2 trips to North Carolina, UNC and NC State. They'll see Belichick on the road. We assume it's Bill Belichick. We'll see. They're looking for an offensive coordinator right now. I saw a report surfacing that it might be Bobby Petrino, which would be kind of wild, and given his history and everything, but it looks like UNC is looking for new members of their staff, and they did sign a pretty good recruiting class, so we'll see if Belichick gets things trending more up after a 4-win season when they had a pretty easy schedule in year 1 for the Bill Belichick experience down in Chapel Hill. And then Virginia, this will be the first trip to Virginia since 2015 for Orange football. They had a 3-overtime loss back in 2015, only second trip in ACC play to Virginia. Also, UConn will be a road game. For those wondering what game is coming off the schedule to free up space for this new ACC road game against NC State that was announced today. I would expect Toledo is the game that will be dropped, which would be fascinating if it is not dropped, considering Syracuse just hired away Toledo's defensive coordinator and Vince Karras. But it seems like Toledo is the game that is probably going to be dropped. They have a home-and-home agreement with them. They will probably restructure that, is what I've been told on that front. So I would expect Toledo to come off. You've got New Hampshire, you've got UConn, and you've got Notre Dame out of conference. New Hampshire, of course, being the opener, I believe, and the easy out-of-conference game. UConn on the road is certainly not an easy game, so we should really factor that into this road schedule that seems pretty palatable. UConn will be with the new head coach, but it is the Toledo head coach, Jason Candle, tying back to Toledo a little bit. So, again, the away schedule, NC State, Boston College, Pitt, UNC, Virginia, UConn out of conference. Home schedule, New Hampshire, Notre Dame out of conference, followed by 4 ACC home games, Cal, Clemson, Louisville, and SMU. SMU will make their second ever trip to the Dome, third overall meeting against the Mustangs. They'll meet in back-to-back years. First trip to the Dome since 1932 for SMU. So basically their first trip, I shouldn't even say to the Dome, obviously first trip to the Dome, period. First trip to Syracuse since 1932. And then Cal will be coming to Syracuse for a football game for the first time since 1967. Fourth ever meeting between Syracuse and Cal on the football field. So that is your ACC football schedule, which was officially dropped about an hour ago. We'll work in a timeout. More to come on Drive Time. We'll preview the Orange women's basketball game tonight against Binghamton. Run you down 2 more keys for Syracuse men's basketball for the rest of the season. And we'll also dive into some more schedule talk because the men's lacrosse schedule dropped this morning. And boy, is it a tough schedule. We'll tell you all about that as we return on Drive Time. You're listening to it on ESPN Radio and watching it on QSportsTalk.com.
This is...
Yeah, NC State will be better, but I mean, I wouldn't say this schedule is daunting, Philly. I think we knew they were adding an ACC road game. I don't think NC State was like one of the top 5 toughest ACC road games you could add in. They're not really dropping a dome game. They had 4 dome games and then 4 road games. And this will come back around. Like, then they'll have 5 and 4 the following year. So that's just how it worked. I mean, there's going to be one team that has 8 games. It's going to be a little wonky, and we'll see if it changes again. You guys are out on Friday night games? I think they're good for the program. I understand it's frustrating when you've got high school football and the crowd for people to get to the game might be a little tougher, and tailgating and all that. I get that as a fan that goes to the game, but I do think there's a lot of value, and I think John Wildtech is smart to lean into that for the TV dollars. I don't think Alex Klein should be held accountable. I honestly, I think we put way too much influence on Alex Klein. Like, the idea that Alex Klein, found William Kyle. They wanted William Kyle 2 years ago a lot. They didn't have the NIL to get him. This year they had the NIL to get him. I think it came down to, certainly Alex Klein helped, but it comes down to, do you have the money to go out and get players? We always like having Anish back in town. Oh, the school game, Ryan, is always my favorite game of the year. I think we're expecting 10,000 this year, and we've got a team that they should beat up on, so that'll be fun. The kids will have a lot to cheer about. I'm just excited for when they get to 67 points, honestly, and the 6-7's going crazy. I saw a previous chatter saying, should Alex Klein be held accountable? I just think Alex Klein isn't as influential as maybe the average fan thinks, but it certainly is nice to have a general manager, and I think he does as good of a job as you could possibly do at researching everyone. I will not be giving you a 6. Maybe on the women's basketball call. We'll have to tease it The 6-7 thing is wild. I saw Joe Buck started the broadcast with a 6-7 joke last night. I have a feeling it's Paul. That's going to be my guess, just based on can you give us a 6-7? And I feel that Paul always chats when he's in there. He's a little more active, maybe. That's my guess. Yeah, they've been going crazy at all these school day games across the country when 6-7 happens. The little Rugrats around the world. I do think C.J. Bailey is a good quarterback for when we were talking about NC State earlier. Also, who the heck knows, though? I mean, we got to see how the portal plays out. Like right now, SMU, Louisville look like tough games. UNC doesn't look that tough. I mean, things change. Like if we were projecting the schedule at the start of the year, we wouldn't have guessed Virginia would be a tough game. Virginia might be an easy game next year. Injuries happen, so. It was Gio up until the 6-7 comment. She did like my sweater. We were mostly talking about Coach A's sweater, though, which took the cake, I think, for best one. Or assistant coach. What's that? ACC football champ next year? Let me think about that. I mean, it's so much schedule dependent.
ESPN Radio Syracuse. Watch your favorite ESPN Syracuse sports talk shows on QSportsTalk.com. Watch your favorite ESPN Syracuse sports talk shows on QSportsTalk.com.
All right, I guess we are back here on Drive Time as we continue from the JMA Wireless Dome. We are live here as the Orange women's basketball team is warming up. Pretty much everyone out on the floor right now, getting in some shots. They'll be tipping it off at 7 p.m. against Binghamton tonight, and that'll be interesting to see if Cuse can continue to get another easy win here at home, stay undefeated at home. The women right now 7-0. At home. They will be back at home on Friday morning. School day game, Friday the 19th, 10:30 tip. So if you are trying to get out of work a little bit early on Friday, you're trying to do something before the holidays that is fun, you could work in the school day game as part of your routine, or you could listen to us if you're working on Friday. Keep that in mind. We will not have Orange Nation on Friday. We'll have the school game broadcast, 10:15 pregame, 10:30 tip. For that one. The Orange women's team has won 4 in a row. They are 39th in the net rankings. They're 46th in the Bart Torvik rankings after starting preseason 64th on the Bart Torvik rankings. Interesting that the ACC has been a little bit down compared to normal expectations for women's basketball. ACC is up compared to previous years on the men's side. And the Orange women really have an opportunity, kind of like the men's team, to rattle off some more wins and maybe even get to 15-1. They would be 10-1 with a win here tonight. They will play Duke, the ACC preseason favorite, on the 28th. That'll be a very important game for them, but I would expect them to be undefeated at home. After this week wraps up, they could be 9-0 at home before they play that Duke game on the 28th. Binghamton enters at 6-3. They're 220th in the net rankings, 237 on Bart Torvik out of about 365 teams in the country. They're led by Mary Grimes, who used to be down the road at Lemoyne. She's now in her second year at Binghamton. The Orange dominated the Bearcats actually on the road last year. They played at Binghamton and won the game 87-60. Binghamton returns a good chunk of their roster from last year, as does Syracuse, really, but they've added some really nice pieces in the transfer portal. So if you have not seen the women play yet, be a good opportunity to do that tonight, or if you can't make it out to the Dome, you can listen to our radio call. We'll get into a little bit of the men's lacrosse schedule here, and we will have Gio wrap things up for our final segment, and maybe Gio can hand out 2 of his keys for Orange basketball for the rest of the year. Not to put pressure on you, Gio. You can do whatever you want, but I'll have to jump here in a second to chat with head coach Felicia Leggett-Jack and get my pregame interview ready to go for the broadcast. The men's lacrosse schedule came out this morning, and boy, is it a gauntlet. Gary Gate always plays a tough schedule. This is a tough schedule even for Gary Gate. They're basically playing everyone who was inside the top 40 in the country last year. Even St. Joseph's, who had a very good year in their conference and was viewed as a good team RPI-wise, is on the schedule this year. Boston University will be the opening game on February 1st. It feels like the season starts earlier and earlier now. The Orange will take no weekends off. They will play 15 games in the regular season, plus the ACC tournament, where you hope to play 2, as they did last year when they won the ACC tournament. That'll be in Charlotte again. They have this long road trip in the middle of their schedule. They're going to spend spring break, starting that with the Saturday game at Homewood Field against their rival Johns Hopkins. So a trip to Hopkins this year after they played well against their rival in recent years. They'll go across country again this year after they played at Utah last year. This time they will be at Denver and at Air Force. First Air Force, then Denver. So that will be their spring break trip, where they start Hopkins, fly across country from Hopkins to play Air Force and Denver. And they're going to play a lot of road games. They're going to take on a couple Ivy League teams in a weekend, at Princeton and at Yale in a weekend that overlaps at the end of February and early March. And they will play all 3 of the teams they played in the NCAA tournament in a row, like they did last year, in different order. But they're going to host Maryland in the 3rd game of the year. That will be a premier game. Could be number 1 versus number 2, honestly, on February 13th. That will be the game to schedule or circle on your schedules to come out to the Dome. That'll be the first really big Dome game against Maryland, who knocked them out of the tournament last year in the Final Four. Then they will take on Harvard on the road after those wild games against Harvard last year, 2 of them. And Princeton on the road on the 27th will be a Friday before they play Penn on a Sunday that weekend. So a great schedule. Got to give it up for Gary Gate for always testing his team, and they should be one of the top teams in the country after making it to the Final Four and returning a lot of their production from last year. That class of 2022 is now all seniors, including Joey Spallina. So we'll work in a timeout here. Gio will take you the rest of the way on Drive Time, and then be sure to tune back in at 6:45 on the radio side of things. You can listen to the game on the Cuse app, Varsity Network app, Cuse.com/watch is always a way to coincidentally listen to the game. And it'll be the Orange and the Bearcats of Binghamton tonight, 7 p.m. tip. So I'll talk to you then. We appreciate all of you in the Cuse Sports Talk chat. There'll be no show tomorrow, actually, just because the Mercyhurst basketball game, I'll be on the radio call of that. We'll pick Drive Time back up on Thursday, but Gio will have you for the final segment after this on ESPN Radio and QSportsTalk.com.
Check out Mike Bristol's FWN.
The whole time.
Oh, there you go. How's that? Sorry. Yeah. All right. Like I said, you get me in Iowa gear, so you may not get Gio in Texas A&M gear. Me in Iowa gear. There goes my no-hitter. Just pulled a Paulie. Devastating. I think as long as Donnie's backed by Clemson. I think we shoot for Donnie being backed by Clemson. Oh, look at this kid. Hold on. Keep going. Over a little more. Oh, why isn't it? Oh, up. Gio, do you want to inform everybody what that says for all the blind people in the chat? All right. Yeah, he did go too high, but, can we see the shoes? Yeah, I mean, they're just black Jordans. That's it. These stay untied because there's no need to tie them, really. These are what I call my boots. Yeah, I know, right? Gio's all over the place. Oh, you get to see my pasty legs. There you go. Ugh. But yeah, these are my boots because I don't know. I don't have boots. Well, I do. They're too much effort to put on at 5:30 in the morning. These I just slip on and off. But is everyone excited? What does everyone want for Christmas? Anything specific? Were you on the good list or the naughty list? What do you want Santa to bring you? Yeah, shorts. I'm indoors. I don't understand this. People get mad at me. I'm indoors most of the day. Why would I wear pants if I'm indoors? It's warm indoors because it's cold outdoors. If I'm indoors, I'm going to wear shorts. Like when we do, for everyone wondering, TK99, Gomez and Company. I do need those. It's a good call, Ryan. On Thursday, we'll be live from Ralph Fratello's discount shoe repair. I'll be in pants because that door will be opening and closing a bunch, or it'll just probably stay open while they're loading the shoes into the truck. And then we're also going to do the world's worst Christmas concert. If you have not played an instrument for like 20 years and you have that instrument, show up. It'll probably be at about 8 o'clock. We'll just play some Christmas music. And that's it. No. The only time I don't wear pants because going from the building to the car is like 10 feet. Then I get in the car. I'm explaining to everybody why wearing pants is stupid.
Yeah?
Yeah, well, you're indoors. Why would you have pants on? Sure. See? Gio gets it. Also, I hate changing. What I put on is what I wear for the day. Even though we're going to trade mics here in a second.
I can just sit here if you want to just put on
sure?
mic too.
All right.
Although,
Because it's on the wide.
I'll go.
No, I don't think people care. You sure? All right. Yeah. Paul had Velcro legs. That would be awesome. That would be fantastic. I hate trying on clothes, though. It is maybe the worst thing ever. When I'm dressed for the day, I am dressed for the day. But no, yeah, I mean, Donnie needs to be back by ACC play. All right, we're gonna have to like snuggle here.
Snuggle? Oh yeah.
Gio broke the chair. I'll probably just end up putting mine down. You host. I keep forgetting that it's so far behind. I was like, where are you? All right. No, we're coming back.
This hour of Orange Nation is brought to you by Burnett BMW, ESPN Radio 97.7 and 100.1.
We welcome you back here on Drive Time to Sports Talk ESPN Syracuse. Whether you're on your ride home, getting to where you have to be, settling in for the night, Giovanni Heater with you, alongside Paul McCoy, taking you the rest of the way right here on Q Sports Talk and ESPN Q's. Tim Leonard's night comes to a close for now. You can catch him at 6:45 right here on ESPN Syracuse. Syracuse women's basketball in action against Binghamton tonight. Again, 6:45 pregame, 7 p.m. tip inside the Dome for head coach Felicia Leggett, Jack, and company. But let's wrap up the show here. And I think it's perfect to kind of pick up where Tim just left off and talk about just how excited I am for this Syracuse lacrosse schedule. I love Syracuse lacrosse, big Syracuse lacrosse guy. We're going to bring Paul in here as well. Paul, I know you're a big Syracuse lacrosse guy as well. I'll tell you what, Gary and company, they challenge themselves.
Yeah, they're not playing around.
They challenge themselves.
Like they have, is it 10 teams, I think it is, in their schedule in the top 12 preseason rankings?
Yeah, it's
something like that.
Preposterous.
That Gary's going for it, and I like it. Because they're a whatchamacallit weekend. I forget the weekend. Championship weekend team. Why not? Why not, man?
Yeah.
See really what you are.
I don't have fear because they did go to the Final Four last year. They should compete for the national championship this year. I think that's the expectation. It's Final Four or bust once again. You might have the Tewaaraton Award winner and Joey Spallina with the numbers that he put up last year and hopefully continues to put up, especially when you look at his assist numbers. He's never been a super dominant goal scorer until that Princeton game. The argument with Joey Spallina was, okay, he doesn't step up in the big game. He kind of disappears. He'll put up 7 points against, your Boston Universities or St. Joseph's of the world, but he kind of disappears in the big game. Then he stepped up in the big game.
Yeah.
And he was lighting it up against Princeton in the NCAA tournament, had a great ACC tournament as well en route to bringing home an ACC championship. So you got Spallina back. So much returns. This is that, at one point, top recruiting class in the country, freshman class, now turning into seniors. It's crazy how much time flies by. It does feel like championship or bust. The schedule's hefty, though.
I feel, you saying that, I feel old. Because when I was at Syracuse, they were freshmen.
Yeah.
So when I was coming, because I went as a grad student to Syracuse, so when I was coming in, they were coming in. So it was like, oh my God, look at this class. And now they're seniors. They've grown up. I really feel like this is the year. And something on Joey that he doesn't show up in the big games. I think he knows his role in a big game.
Yeah.
And he's a decoy almost. He takes the defense. They're so focused on them. He opens it up for everyone else.
And you don't need him to be the predominant goal scorer when you had shooters on the team like Luke Roa, like Owen Hiltz was unbelievable. Man. I mean, they're Mikey Leo. You can really continue to go down the list. Even like Trey Deer was stepping up. I'm excited to see what last year's stud freshman brings back to the mix. Like, it's a really talented team, and they didn't lose a ton. I do worry about the loss of Owen Hiltz, but I think that they do have the guys to fill his role. Super talented team. Excited to see what the team has. They got a great goalie in Jimmy McCula as well. The defense looks solidified, so I'm stoked about it. What's the biggest game on the schedule, in your opinion, with the first early glance here?
See, I'm old school. I always say if Johns Hopkins is on your schedule, that's the biggest game.
Sure.
I may be wrong in that these days, but growing up, not like next to Johns Hopkins, but
that's right. You're from that area.
I grew up in Virginia, so you'd hear about them. And to me, that's just the game if you have them. So I'm going them.
Yeah.
It might be a Duke. I don't know. It could be one of those ultimately, but Johns Hopkins. What about you?
Sure. Yeah, I hear the argument on Hopkins. It just feels like Hopkins hasn't been Hopkins lately. And then it looked like last year they were going to be Hopkins. Then Syracuse beat them, and it turns out Syracuse crumbled the rest of their entire season because I don't know if Hopkins won very many games after that. So Hopkins hasn't been Hopkins, but really Syracuse till last year and maybe the year before hadn't been Syracuse, right? So I hope that rivalry gets some juice back to it. Honestly, dude, the Maryland game's always huge. I think it's probably the biggest game. Friday night in the Dome, you get Maryland, third game of the season. That's going to be a big one on February 13th, especially because you just played them in the Final Four and because they've been your Achilles heel. Syracuse does not beat Maryland. No. In fact, they've never beaten the current Maryland coach. So I'd say either Maryland or honestly that Princeton game. You're playing Princeton at Princeton, Final Four caliber team with the Tigers, and a rematch of last year's shootout in the NCAA quarterfinals. So that'll be a big one.
Yeah, I mean, Maryland to me Friday night in the Dome. Yeah, that's a tone setter.
It's a big boy. Yeah,
if they
especially because it's the third game in.
It's third. Yeah. So to me that tells me I don't know if it tells me everything about the team, but it shows me where this team's going to be at, and if they are a legitimate championship weekend team, or if it's all talk and it's just everyone's just I don't know. It sets the season for me. Really, it's like Johns Hopkins last year. They were doing well, lost to Syracuse, didn't really do well the rest of the way. I'm not going to say they won't do well if they lose to Maryland. Yeah, but it just feels like that's a game that they have to win.
Watch out. Carolina's going to have a talented roster once again. They were very young last year. I'm sure Virginia will be back in the mix. Duke is always good. It's a loaded ACC. How about Georgetown? You get to play them. A little Big East action on March 22nd. Going to be a very, very fun schedule. That'll wrap things up for today. Don't turn that radio dial. Actually, you could turn it for 45 minutes if you want, but come right back. Tim Leonard's going to have Syracuse women's basketball pregame at 6:45 sharp, 7 p.m. tip-off. The Orange and Binghamton going at it on the hardwood in the Dome. For Paul McCoy, for Tim Leonard, I'm Giovanni Heater calling it a night here in Syracuse. We will talk to you tomorrow. Thanks for listening to Drive Time.
Did you miss Drive Time with Tim Leonard?
Just because we're not off yet. I hate the Knicks. Have a great night, everybody.